just 5 minutes. Okay, for episode 60, we've got something straight out of sci-fi. Really is actually. I don't know if you remember, if you're into sci-fi or even if you're not, those sort of science fiction films and shows where, a data crystal is popped into like some sort of reader or a bit of glass that sort of slots in. I'm thinking even way back to 2001, 2010, the Arthur C. Clarke books, but certainly the film versions where, HAL 9000, the computer that goes a bit crazy and kills everyone. Um, but it wasn't really HAL's fault. Anyway, but there's a scene in there where the creator of HAL is trying to reactivate Odyssey, the spaceship, and there's a scene, it's all sort of very red lit sort of lights, and he's got these sort of glass panels getting popped in and out of these sort of units. And ultimately, that's what we're talking about today is Microsoft. They've got a in um, their sort of future research department have got something called Project Silica, which is pretty much that. It is storing data on glass, which is quite incredible. I'll put a link to the video below anyway. It's been going on for a while, as most of these things are, and quite incredible. I mean, I've got nowhere to start thinking about how they do this apart from reading what they've said, but quite incredible that it's not used. I don't, well, right now anyway, it's not for like your fast access sort of hard disks in your laptops or your phones or anything silly like that, but it's the longevity of storing data, because at the moment, they estimate, a hard disk, whether it's SSD or not, what, maybe 5 years lifetime. Tape, if you're really brave, could last about 10 years. But these are all mediums that will, really have a problem after a certain amount of time. Okay. So this is for long-term archival storage. And so what they've got is glass. Now, I honestly, it's incredible, really. I'll just read out a couple of things that they do. So to write the data, they use a femtosecond pulse laser. There you go. Go and have a look at that. That creates nanoscale structures inside the glass called voxels. So a voxel, from what I've read, and I've heard that before, is essentially, if you can imagine a pixel on your screen, it's a three-dimensional version of that. Okay, so it it's a bit like, and again, I go back to that 2010 movie, or the book where, I think one of the Russian scientists says, about the holographic memory of HAL. Well, it's sort of getting there. But anyway, the idea is that once that's written, okay, so they use a laser to basically do that. I don't think it's reusable. I think that's the point. It doesn't mention that. But the idea is it can store a massive amount of data. But best of all, that that glass doesn't degrade, not like tape or anything. It just stays there for a long, long, long time. I don't know what the sort of length of time is, but it's a darn long time, way more than sort of tape or disc. Yeah, and so realistically, how do you get the data back? So this again, just to cover, it's more for that long-term storage, okay? And they essentially use, really, I mean, it's all very clever, but it's ultimately a microscope to read the data back. So it's getting faster and faster. I obviously in the first stages, I'm sure it was quite slow, but it is getting faster and faster to read back. That's why I don't think at this stage it's going to be anything like a hard disk in your phone or something. But down the track, who knows? It really is the world of sci-fi at the moment. But yeah, it's essentially using equivalent of a very fine-tuned microscope to read that data back into a structure, bits and bytes, and everything else that we need in our sort of daily lives, as it seems. So it's really uh, quite clever and very futuristic. The video I'll link to shows, you know, some of their sort of kit that they're using this, but definitely an interesting direction where it's going. And obviously, you know, let's not even get into like photon based, you know, computers. So instead of electrical circuits, you know, you've literally got light flicking around inside, you know, which is probably going to be the biggest next step. And I know there's a lot of research going into that, has been for a while. But anyway, that's what I've got this time around. And take care, and we'll catch you on the next one.